Hello dear friends, welcome to day 27 of painting quick and easy watercolor skies. And our sky for the day is a really gorgeous one. I cannot tell you how much I love this color combination. There is no reference image, I just tried it out and it came out really well. And here we are. Anyway, let's start by having a look at the colors. To paint the sky, we will need 4 colors. You can obviously change them according to what you have with you. It doesn't need to be exactly the same. So the first color you will need is Prussian blue, then some rose, then opera pink and orange. I'm hoping all of you have Prussian blue, or you can also go with any other blue of your choice. So the very first color you will need is Prussian blue. This one is from Art Philosophy. Now the second color is Permanent Rose. It's a very bright and bold rose. You can also use crimson instead. Now the third one is Opera Pink. It's more like a neon pink. I'm not really sure how many of you have this. So if you don't have it, go with any other brighter pink. Even a pastel pink will work. And finally, you will need one more color for the sky, which is orange. This one is Brilliant Orange. You can use any kind of orange or vermilion. So those are the 4 colors you will need for the sky. To add the clouds, we'll go with a mix of rose and Prussian blue. Okay, now coming to the next color, it is Burnt Sienna. To paint the ground, we'll be using Burnt Sienna and a mix of Prussian blue. Usually, I go with a mix of Burnt Sienna and Payne's Grey, but today, as I have some Prussian blue on my palette, I thought of mixing them together. It will give me almost a similar color. We just need a darker tone. So you can mix your Burnt Sienna with Prussian blue, Payne's Grey, or even indigo. All of them will give us a darker tone, and that's all we need. Okay, so that summarizes all the colors you will need for today's painting. You will need Prussian blue or any other blue of your choice. Then Permanent Rose or Crimson, Opera Pink, Orange and Burnt Sienna. Okay, so keep all the colors ready. Now, as we do for every painting, let's start by having a look at the various steps involved. We will start with the sky, which is quite obvious. Onto a wet background, we will add some Prussian blue first. That's the color you see on the top. Then we will go with some Permanent Rose, then Opera Pink, then also some orange in between. And then onto that layer, we will introduce some clouds. Okay, so that's how the sky is going to be. Next, we will go with the sea. And for this as well, we will go with purple and blue. We will add some textures onto that layer. And then we will paint the sand and also this mountain far away. And that is it. It's quite simple. It isn't anything complicated. We have already tried similar compositions. It is just that the colors are different today. That's all. Okay, so that is it. Now let's give it a try. Let's start with the pencil sketch. I'm going to add the horizon line first, which I'm placing a little below the center of the paper. Next, we need to add an irregular line to separate the sea and the sand. Okay, so that's our sketch. You just need to add a rough line for now. We can modify that as we're painting. So the sketch is ready. Now you have to make sure you have all the colors ready on your palette. We need some Prussian blue, rose, orange, and a bit of opera pink. Okay, choose to go with the colors you have with you. It doesn't need to be exactly the same. So yeah, once you have the colors ready, we can apply a coat of water onto the sky. I'm applying a nice gentle coat of water and I'm making my sky evenly wet. Don't add a lot of water. We only need a gentle coat. If there's a lot of water, run your brush multiple times until the coat of water is even. Okay, so my sky is evenly wet. Now we can start applying the paint. For that, I'm using my size number 8 round brush. First, I'm making sure it is clean. Now, the first color I'm going to go with is Prussian blue. I'm using a darker tone and I'm applying that on the top of the sky. This one is from Art Philosophy. It's a gorgeous blue. You can see the pigmentation. Now, I'm cleaning my brush and I'm going with the second color, which is Permanent Rose. As I mentioned earlier, go with crimson or carmine if you don't have rose. Now blend them together. I will wash my brush again and I will pick some clean rose and I will add that towards the bottom. Okay. Next, I'm going with opera pink and I'm adding that next to rose. So this one is more like a neon pink. Apply that over here and also along the horizon line. Okay. If you don't have opera pink, continue with the same rose. Now I'm adding that along the horizon line, leaving some gap in between. Now onto that gap in between, I will introduce some orange. That's a plan. Okay. Before that, I will apply some more opera pink. It is not bright enough. Okay. Next, I'm going to wash my brush and I will go with orange. Go with any orange you have got. The one I'm going to use is brilliant orange. It's a bright orange. I have used this color in my previous paintings as well. You can also use a yellow or a yellowish orange instead of orange. Okay. Now in between, I'm applying orange and roughly spreading that into the background. It doesn't need to be a clean, proper blend. Just introduce those colors onto the background and let it blend on its own way. Okay, so that's a background. Now I'm going to keep this brush aside and I will go with a smaller brush and I'm going to introduce the clouds onto the background. To add the clouds, I'm going to go with a purple tone. So I already have some Prussian blue here. Into that, I'm adding some more rose and I'm creating a bright and bold purple. Now if your paint is watery, dab it on a paper towel before you start adding the clouds. Your purple might look a little different if you're using different colors, but that's totally fine. Go with any kind of color of your choice. Okay, now add in your clouds onto that red background. If you don't want to add the clouds, even that is totally fine. I think the sky is looking already quite beautiful. So if you want to skip adding the clouds, that's totally fine. Okay, I'm going to add some clouds where I have opera pink and permanent rose. I won't be adding any towards the bottom. I'm going to leave the bottom part as it is. Okay, so I'm just adding some smaller clouds onto the background using that purple color I have created. I'm just randomly adding the clouds wherever I feel like. There is no particular order or rule here. You can add them however you like. It can be bigger clouds or smaller clouds. But just be careful about the water content. If it's too watery, dab it on a paper towel. Otherwise, the clouds will spread a lot and they won't stay in shape. Okay, I think the bottom area is looking good enough. I'm going to add some more onto the top. So into the same mix, I'm adding more Prussian blue to make the color more darker. And I'm adding some more clouds where I have this rose and Prussian blue meeting. This one is completely optional. Only if you want to make your sky more dramatic, you can add these clouds. Okay. So whenever you're painting a cloudy sky, never ever completely follow your instructor. Everything totally depends upon the water control and the wetness of your paper. If you feel like your background is drying out, that would be a good point to stop. And sometimes less is more. You don't need to add more clouds just because I'm adding it. Okay, so that's how the sky has turned out. I'm quite happy with the colors and the clouds. Now let's leave it for drying. Okay, so the sky has dried completely and the colors are still looking quite beautiful. Next, we are going to paint the sea. To paint the sea, first I'm going to use the same purple I created earlier. Maybe it can be a little more pinkish. Okay, now that's a color I'm going to use for the base. I will apply this color onto the entire layer. Okay, so this one is a mix of Prussian blue and rose. Only a little Prussian blue and more rose. I'm adding that onto the background as a base layer. Towards the bottom, we can make it a little lighter compared to the top. So I have picked a little water and I'm making it lighter. Okay, so that's our base layer. Now onto this, I'm going to add some lines and some textures using a darker tone. And for that, I'm picking some purple. So this time I have added more Prussian blue into the mix. You can see the color. It's quite dark. Now I'm randomly adding some lines onto the background. I think I have added too much. The rose is not much visible, so don't add this much. We want some rose in the background. Okay. So start with the base layer, which can be rose or purple. And towards the bottom, make it lighter. Then onto that, introduce some textures using a darker tone. Now I will add a few more lines, especially along the horizon line. First, I have to make this straight. Then I will add some more lines. And then we can leave it for drying. At the end, when everything has dried completely, we will add one more set of lines to bring in more texture. So this one is just a base layer. When it dries, it won't be that prominent. Now I'm picking a little more rose and I'm going to add that into the background. I think at some places the blue is quite prominent, especially over here. Alright, so that is it. Now let's leave it for drying. So we have painted the sky and the sea, and next we are going to paint the sand. And for that, like usual, I'm going to go with a mix of burnt sienna and Payne's grey. That's a color I usually like. For some reason, I don't like to use brown for the sand. I feel burnt sienna is more earthy. I guess I will just mix that with this Prussian blue I have here. I'm not picking any Payne's grey. It will still give me a similar tonal value. If you have Payne's grey, you can just mix that with Payne's grey. But even indigo or Prussian blue will work. We just need a darker tone of brown. Okay, now I'm going to apply that along the shoreline. So I'm giving a nice shape here. Then towards the bottom, I will add more burnt sienna and I will make the color lighter. Okay, so just mix some burnt sienna with Payne's grey or indigo or Prussian blue and turn that into a darker tone. Something similar to this. Now towards the bottom, I'm going to add more burnt sienna into the mix. Now let's fill up the rest. So on the top, along the shoreline, we have a darker tone, and towards the bottom, we have made it lighter. I'm introducing more burnt sienna towards the bottom, but the colors are still quite dark. It's not a lighter tone. Okay, now I'm going to pick that darker tone again. It's a mix of Prussian blue and burnt sienna. Now I'm dropping in some darker tones onto the background, especially closer to the wave. The bottom part, I'm leaving it as it is. Now I'm also giving it a better shape. If you want to fix the shape of your wave, this is the time. Do that before the background dries up. Okay. So that is my shoreline. We have the sky, the sea and the sand ready, but we haven't added more details onto the sea. It still looks quite incomplete. So that is our next task. Maybe we can also add a mountain far away using the same color. I have a darker tone here. So using the same color, I'm adding a mountain along the horizon line. A low-lying mountain, it's not huge. Go with a similar size. If it's too huge, your painting will go out of proportion. So be very mindful about the size. Okay. So the color I have used here is a mix of Prussian blue and burnt sienna. And that is it. Next, the only task left is to add the textures onto the sea. And for that, I'm going back with the purple tone. I'm mixing some Prussian blue and rose together. Okay. Now using this color, I'm going to add some more waves and lines onto the background. We are just trying to introduce some texture here, so you can simply add some lines onto the background. They can be wavy lines, shorter lines or longer lines, it doesn't matter. If your paint is too watery, dab it on a paper towel. And also go with a smaller brush or a brush with a pointed tip. Now simply add some lines onto the background using that darker tone. Go with some thin lines. Only in between, some of the lines can be thicker to represent the waves. The rest has to be thinner. Okay, so just keep on adding similar lines onto the background. You can add them until you're happy with the result. Take a look at your painting. If you feel you have got enough textures there, you can stop it at any point. I have made the color a little lighter and I'm going to continue adding the lines towards the bottom. After I'm done adding these lines, I will go back with a darker tone and I will add some more. Okay, so right now the color I'm using is a medium tone. It's not a darker one. Now I'm switching back to the darker tone and I'm going to add some waves in between. Okay, so it is just a matter of adding some lines onto the background to bring in some texture. If we don't add those lines, our sea will look quite empty. It won't have that natural texture. So these lines are very important and don't add too much. And also you can use different colors. It can be purple or it can be a rose color or even a darker tone. So keep changing those colors according to your background values. If it's a darker one, if you have a medium tone in the background, you will have to go with a darker tone when you're adding these lines. And if it's a lighter tone, you just need to go with a medium tone. So those things will totally depend on your background colors. Okay, so that's how it has turned out. I'm quite happy with the colors and the entire look and feel of this painting. Now there is some leftover paint on my brush. So what I'm going to do is I will dab it on a paper towel. And with that dry paint, I'm going to add some more textures on the ground. Just a few random dry textures, which is completely optional. I had some leftover paint. I thought of making use of it. Okay, so that is it. Now it's time to peel off the masking tape. It's a really beautiful color combination. The colors are very vibrant and bold. I hope you all liked it. My favorite part is this, where we have the lighter tone along the bottom. It's a gorgeous color combination, so give it a try if you yet to try it. And let me know if you liked it.